they reported that they had lost £200 million in the financial year ending in June 2020. So that's a lot of money. And apparently their profits decreased by 23% compared to the previous financial year. That is mind-boggling. Oh, no, might not have been profits, or I think it was revenue. Their revenue. So they are essentially, they're treading water, but they're running out of energy. It's in a really, really dodgy position. And what's fascinating is that the effects of the phone hacking scandal with the News of the World in 2011, for those of you who aren't familiar, a newspaper organization that's part of this news group owned by Murdoch, that's part of News Corp, was found to have been hacking people's phones to listen in on conversations and ascertain information from text messages, I think maybe emails as well. There was a lot of stuff going on, and in 2011 the whole case came to a head. And obviously the News of the World used to be a very, a massive, very influential newspaper. It doesn't exist anymore, and that's, because of all of that horrendous those horrendous practices that totally interfere with people's privacy. Allegedly, Boris Johnson, yes, called Matt Hancock, quote, totally fucking hopeless, end quote. But not just that, right? It's the fact that he didn't sack him. He kept him in post when he expressed the opinion privately with seemingly no political motivation, according to Dominic Cummings, allegedly, that the health secretary was hopeless, was absolutely terrible at his job. And that was during a pandemic, which, I mean, I feel like if you're watching this channel, you probably feel like you're watching me slowly lose any faith I have in humanity. Because this is absolutely just, I mean, I'm gobsmacked. The Conservatives have just voted down a bill in Parliament that would have made our borders much more secure, to prevent more spread of COVID and to try and prevent a third wave in the UK. So from the very beginning of the pandemic, I mean, we're talking, February 2020, very, very early stages, at least in Europe. As you know, it was pretty developed in China at that point, but from the very early stages in Europe, it was kind of, people were floating around the idea that maybe we should close the borders, or at least put a lot more security on the borders to try and prevent more people with COVID from coming into the country and spreading it around, affecting more people. And that basically wasn't pursued by the government at all. At the very least, after a few months, we should have had a competent track and trace system in place. We still don't really have that. We've spent, I believe now it's upwards of £40 billion on this Serco track and trace system. Serco have basically no experience in that kind of field at all anyway. Dido Harding, the person in charge of it, she doesn't have any experience in that field. It's all just about who the Conservative Party likes, who donates to them, and who their friends are. It doesn't really have to do with public safety or public service in any capacity, or competency, certainly. So that's been a total shit show. But what's even more annoying is that still the borders are not secure. What should have happened is, way back in at least maybe the end of February, early March in 2020, the border should have just been closed, right? All of them. People who were, British citizens should have been brought back in secure ways. They should have been quarantined and had to wear face masks and been tested and all these things, because by that point there were tests already available that worked. Almost every single country that joined the Paris Climate Accord is miles away from where they need to be in terms of their emissions. Miles away. There's only 2 countries that are following it. One of them's Morocco, I think, and I can't remember the other one, right? But the UK, Sweden, France, the United States, China, you name it, none of them are anywhere near where they need to be. So, and I believe the other country is a country in Africa as well. So why are the countries in Africa, some of the poorest places, the developing nations, why are they the ones who are putting in all this effort? You know, when our countries, which, you know, could, I mean, not with ease, but, you know, we could definitely transition to renewable energy and to a net zero economy by 2030. If we started right now, we could do that. We definitely could. And it wouldn't just be great for the environment, it'd be great for our country. It'd be great for living standards. We could have massive infrastructure projects, you know, like creating high-speed railway and putting solar panels all over the place and more wind farms and things like that. We could create hundreds of thousands, potentially even millions of jobs. And, you know, we could invest in research and development for more of those things. And we would have all these amazing rewilding programs to improve the natural world in the UK, which wouldn't just be essential for our species survival and you know, the ecosystems on which we depend, but it would also just be really nice because, you know, who doesn't want to have more natural beauty in their country?